This is Vic's Financial Strategy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the current state of the market, and give it a little weekly watch list, take a look at earnings, take a look at the news and data that's coming out this week, and kind of just set up some expectations for the market. We're going to talk about Silvergate, Procter & Gamble, we could mention Starbucks, and of course, the general overall market. In the previous video, I made a comments on what we could see happen here on the SPX or the S&P 500. We are still at that pivot point. We open up tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday, and we are going to have the bulk of the earnings coming out within the next couple weeks. So whether we pivot here or whether we pivot here is kind of the question that's on a lot of traders' minds to the downside. So like I said, earnings coming out. We have Tuesday, we have Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Silvergate, First Bank, a lot of banking names all in the pre-market. We saw a majority of the banking names report last Friday, kind of a mixed bag. Didn't really see too much volatility there. Don't expect too much volatility here, with the exception of Silvergate. Why I want to look at Silvergate and talk about Silvergate today, ticker symbol SI. Silvergate could see some upside. It's beaten down, went from about 240 to about 13. There's some bankruptcy concerns here. I am considering there's a potential short squeeze opportunity. What we could see happen down here is we saw this big pump on a candle, something similar to this. We saw a 27% move like this. Maybe a squeeze can happen after earnings tomorrow. Tuesday, they're reporting earnings. If they come in terrible, this company can gap down from 13 to 5, maybe $4. And then we could see a lot of short covering. So I would only look to take on this name for upside. This is going to be one of my top watches in the morning, or at least in the first 15, 20, 30 minutes of market open. If I see some heavy buying pressure and heavy short selling closing, like short sellers closing out their positions, we could see potential dip buy and play this one for a move. So that's Silvergate. If we don't see the buying action, stay out of this name. That's Silvergate on Tuesday. Also, I wanted to talk about Procter & Gamble. Completely different story to Silvergate. Totally different thing. But Procter & Gamble is kind of your consumer name. It's a high dividend name. If we zoom out on these candles, we see that it's trading not too far from all-time highs. It's about $12 away from all-time highs. We have just been chugging upwards ever since the last couple decades. And we did make a leg down when the market bottomed out. But since that bottom, we have absolutely ripped from 122 to 150. If we zoom into the daily candles, I do see a triple top forming right here. If I had drawn a key level, we have our triple top here at the 154.75. See that it's a resistance here and here. I like this name for some potential downside. Let's try to break this shelf right here. This is a key level at the 150-ish level. We see its previous resistance here, turn support, and we had our third test right here. So we're kind of in no man's land trading here, but we could see some potential downside on weak earnings. So I'm considering taking some put positions that are expiring multi-month out as a hedge if the market turns over. I really like this name for downside. Let's just see us break this 150 zone and not exceed 154.75, or we'll just round it up 155. So keep Procter & Gamble on your watch list. That's going to be a big name to look out for on earnings. And then Netflix. Netflix, one of my favorite to trade intraday. Netflix I really like for some more downside. Here on the charts, we can see that we have been testing this backside trend line, this yellow one right here. I'm going to delete this one. It's a little bit ugly. But if we switch over to the 1 hour, we see that we've had 1, 2, 3. That was our triple trend line touches. We had a break, and then we went into bear market territory, or at least in the near term. And we've risen all the way up as the market has turned upwards. Netflix has outperformed on the way upwards, and we have just tested the backside of the trend line. The cool thing about this name is that Netflix is testing the backside trend line at the same time it's testing a key level as in the gap fill. So we could see our Two lines right here, this blue and yellow one that are side by side. We can just make that one line, was kind of our bottom wicks down here. So the beginning of the gap. We're just now touching that gap fill. Many times when we see a gap fill touch, we could see rejection. I remember making a ton of money about a month ago on this gap fill rejection. So we could see history repeat itself, or we could not. Keep this one on your watch list. Of course, do not trade this one during earnings season. Don't go big size on the earnings this Thursday. So keep it on your watch list for some more downside. Let's see how earnings come out. Similar to Procter & Gamble, you could probably play this one for more downside if you were to go multi-month out, maybe 2-3 months out, and put contracts. That is one option you can do. But that's it for all of these names right here, or at least the ones I wanted to talk about. I did want to mention Starbucks briefly in this watch list for the week, and just kind of a statement on all these dividend names that are trading very high. I haven't looked at the PE ratios recently, but the PE ratios of Starbucks is pretty exceptionally high, considering it's just a coffee company that's not really innovating a whole lot. And as we go into a time of monetary contraction, we could maybe see the earnings start to look a little bit weak. So I'm looking for some red candles on the weekly. Maybe we see a red candle this week or next week, but I'm looking for us to potentially take some short-sided positions here at the 114/115. I think that's a good zone to start loading up some puts for some downside or some more potential downside. I just believe that a lot of these dividend names like Starbucks, Caterpillar, all the Dow Jones Industrials, they have just been overbought and they have been programmed to be bought up. So when the bots and the algorithms and the money managers are just clicking buttons and programming automatic buys, that can be posing some opportunities to potentially catch a reversal when the trend reverses, whether that's psychologically, whether the dividend or the Dow Jones heavy buying is over. If we're looking at the Dow Jones, we see that it's coming up on a key level as well. And if we see rejection on the Dow Jones, I could see potential more downside on Starbucks and Caterpillar. So those 5 names that I went over, maybe it was 6: Silvergate, Caterpillar, Procter & Gamble, Starbucks, Netflix, all of these names, more potential downside, with the exception of Caterpillar. I will say Caterpillar has been very strong. This one is a no touch for me. I'm not going to play Caterpillar downside until we get back below, say, our 226 level right there. That will wrap up this video. This was just a quick conversation, a couple things I'm looking at, a couple things you can look at while you're trading this week, a couple things to keep in mind for earnings season. Oh, one last thing wanted to mention is here is the economic and data points for this week. Kind of the big things that are coming out is all going to be in the bulk of the pre-market here Wednesday, which is going to be your core PPI, core retail sales month over month. And we don't have a whole lot more in this red category. These red boxes kind of give an indication like what the severity is of the news and where we can go and how much influence it has on the markets. Other than that, it's just a whole lot of Fed speak. So we had Brainard speaking on Thursday, Williams Thursday, Waller Friday. Those ones are kind of your orange categories. We have a couple yellow categories, Logan, whatsoever. I mean, you don't really see it move the indexes too much. We only see big volatile moves when Fed Jerome Powell, chairman, is speaking. So if it's not really chairman, maybe it's Kashkari, maybe he can move the market a little bit. But main thing to keep in mind is these pre-market moves here in the AM, Tuesday and Wednesday. So those are the things I wanted to talk about and what you should keep on your watch list. You guys all have happy trading out there. Stay consistent, keep your losses minimal, and your position sizing correct. Wish you all good luck in this trading season, or earning season, as you will. and you will catch me in the next video.